Now, Elon's last Starship presentation I thought was quite inspirational, and by using all of the assets at our disposal, we have created a mini Starship presentation of our own. I think this is a great way to bring in the new year. 2022 is going to be astounding, so strap in, hold on tight, and enjoy the ride.
The overarching goal of SpaceX has been to advance space technology such that humanity can become a multi-planet species and ultimately a spacefaring civilization, and to make true the things that we read about in science fiction and have them not always be fiction. What we're aiming to develop with Starship is a generalized means of transporting large amounts of mass or people anywhere in the solar system. The idea behind this is to have the first fully and rapidly reusable rocket. That's really the holy grail of rocketry. If you can have a fully and rapidly reusable rocket, then the cost of transport of a ton to orbit drops by about 2 orders of magnitude. If we are successful, and at least from a design standpoint, it appears all of the calculations close for having a fully reusable 100-ton to low Earth orbit capability. It has the potential to affect human destiny in a very profound way. Intuitively, if you ask people who understand materials, they will say, we want to make something incredibly light. They'll say, probably you want to use state-of-the-art carbon fiber composite. That's usually what they'll say. And that's what we started out with, which was really a very advanced carbon fiber. It cost $130 per kilogram, so it was a very expensive material. And there are some challenges if you want to make the primary structure out of carbon fiber. When you look at the full mass and complexity of a carbon fiber system, you start having things that reduce the mass efficiency of carbon fiber, such as having an inert liner and being worried about gas permeating through the carbon fiber and that kind of thing. So we just weren't making rapid progress with this material. So the other two materials worth considering are a high-strength form of aluminum or aluminium, or potentially steel. So for Falcon 9, we use aluminum lithium, which is the highest strength to weight aluminum alloy that you can use. Very difficult to weld, but that's what we use for the primary structure of Falcon 9. The material costs arguably on the sort of $40 a kilogram level. And then there's steel. Now, stainless steel only costs about $4 a kilogram. Now, the interesting thing about 300 series stainless steel is that strength properties at cryogenic temperatures increase dramatically. No meaningful increase in brittleness. For Starship, both the fuel and the oxygen are cryogenic. Fuel and oxidizer are cryogenic. Now you get the strength properties in the primary structure of both tanks. We developed our own alloy, which is 30X, which is better than either 301 or 304. And there are some challenges if you want to make the primary structure out of carbon fiber, which is that you've got to contain cryogenic fluid, and you need gas, in sort of what's called ullage gas, pressurization gas, to pressurize the propellants in the main tanks. Our vehicle is autogenously pressurized, so the oxygen tank is pressurized with gaseous oxygen, and the fuel tank is pressurized with gaseous methane. Making the vehicle reusable, so now it's coming in very hot. The ship is coming in at hypersonic velocities, kind of like a Mach 25 entry velocity. But if you've got steel, your melting point is much higher than aluminum, and you can handle much better temperatures than carbon fiber. The resin tends to have problems. Anything much above, say, 200 Celsius for carbon fiber or aluminum you start falling off a cliff from a strength standpoint. But for steel, you go 800 and it's fine. Even 1,000 can be fine. So for the ship, this means that the heat shield mass is significantly reduced. The heat shield mass is determined by the temperature on the back of the tile that it then transmits to the hull. If the hull is steel, you can have thin heat shield tiles, so it is actually lighter than the most advanced carbon fiber vehicle. So we went from $130 a kilogram advanced carbon fiber to $4 a kilogram stainless steel, from 120 plies to 1 ply. It's just coil from the mill, and basically the same strength. And don't even need to paint it, which is great. Paint on a big vehicle weighs many tons, and it's quite difficult to paint big things. The vehicle is very big, so one of the things that helps with reusability is scale, because, for example, the electronics that control the brain of the vehicle, if you will, does not actually get any heavier if it is a big vehicle or a small vehicle. So things like avionics and control, inertial measurement, sensors and whatnot, become round down to basically almost no percentage of the mass for a big vehicle. Whereas for a small vehicle, obviously that would be much more of an issue. So scale certainly helps. We're using the most advanced engine cycle, which from a physics standpoint is the best. You can extract the most amount of momentum for a given amount of fuel or propellant, which is a full flow gas staged combustion engine. That's the Raptor engine. There are currently 29 of those on the base of the booster. We'll be expanding that to 33. And at 33 engines and with the Raptor 2, we'll be doing about 7,700 metric ton force of thrust on liftoff. About 2.3 times the thrust of a Saturn V. It's really a very big vehicle. It's the biggest rocket ever designed, and we're close to our initial orbital launch. We've done several suborbital flights and have been able to land the vehicle successfully. The first orbital flight we're hoping to do in January. Completed the first orbital booster and first orbital ship, and we'll be complete with the launch pad and launch tower later this month, and then we'll do a bunch of tests in December and hopefully launch in January. There's a lot of risk associated with this first launch, so I would not say that it is likely to be successful, but I think we'll make a lot of progress. NASA is providing some support, but this has really been an internally funded effort, at least 90% internally funded thus far. And we expect to reach orbit probably, I don't know if we'll get there on the first attempt, but I'm confident we'll get there next year, and we intend to have a high flight rate next year. We've also built a factory for making a lot of these vehicles. So this is not a case of just one or two. We're aiming to make a great many. The engine build rate is currently the biggest constraint on how many vehicles we can make. Ultimately, in order for life to become multiplanetary, we'll need maybe 1,000 ships or something like that. And I think people may know that NASA has selected Starship for the transport of astronauts to the lunar surface. So we look forward to doing that for NASA. It has the ability, because of the mass transport capabilities of transporting enough mass and people to the moon, to actually have a permanently occupied base on the moon. Much as we have like a permanently occupied base at Antarctica, we could have a sort of a moon research station, which I think would be amazing. You know, there's always some risk going into deep space. Going to the moon, like obviously the United States has done that before, and it would be great to go back and great to have a permanent base where we could have like a significant science contingent actually permanently occupied. It would be epic. So once you're on the moon, of course, you're protected by the moon below you, and then you can put a lot of lunar regolith on top of whatever the research station roof would be. So once you're there, easy to protect. On the way, we'll have to check the weather report. And for Mars, it's going to be trickier. You know, obviously we don't have all the answers here, and there may be some clever ways to reduce radiation effects, but I don't think they're insurmountable. The first thing we'd want to do is confirm that we can land the ship safely on Mars. We'd want to probably land 2 or 3 before sending people, and just confirm that we can land safely. We'll certainly have propulsive landing very reliable on Earth, as we've been able to achieve with the Falcon 9 booster. It's now quite normal for the rocket to land safely, and we'll do the same with Starship. Ultimately, Starship is designed to be a generalized transport mechanism for the greater solar system. Basically, any place we can put the gas station, that gives us another whole leap forward. Launching one vehicle that is very well insulated, but does not return to Earth, effectively a propellant depot. So if you take a Starship, and you take the heat shielding off and replace that with thermal insulation that's just very, very good at keeping things cold, then you could have one ship up there that effectively just turns into a propellant depot, and then you send tankers up there to dock and transfer propellant. You should be able to be there for a while, and then whatever ship you want to go to the moon, you go up and dock with the depot, transfer propellant, and off you go. If we could build a propellant generation on the moon, then we could really send something with very high delta V. And if we have a base on Mars with high delta V, now you could basically planet hop from Mars to Ceres, to maybe one of the moons of Jupiter, and ultimately all the way to the outer solar system. We're really excited and honored to be flying the Clipper mission. There could be some incredibly exciting things to discover, and hopefully are, under Europa. It seems like probably the best place for some strange life. So hopefully we find some really cool things. So yeah, I can't wait to launch the Clipper, and that'll be on a Falcon Heavy. The great thing about Starship is it really should enable us to send very big things, and also to send them fast, like need much less in the way of planetary gravity assists and that kind of thing. And so it's really whatever you can imagine. If you could get a 100-ton object to the surface of Europa, there's a lot more you can do than with a smaller object. It's very exciting. Obviously, we still have a lot to prove, but architecturally, it is capable of transporting almost any arbitrary mass to any solid surface in the solar system. I think at least one of the great filters is, does a civilization become multiplanetary or not? If a civilization does not become multiplanetary, then eventually the sun's going to expand, and that's game over. So, and actually think about it from a percentage standpoint. If Earth's been around 4.5 billion years, then it took us 4.5 billion years to get this far. It may be as soon as another 500 million years, and the sun might have expanded enough by that time to boil the oceans, potentially. If it's not 500 million years, it's not much beyond that, which is basically means that if it took 10% longer for a civilization to evolve, it would never have evolved. Fundamental juncture in the history of any civilization on a single planet, which is, do you get to the second planet or do you not? I propose we do. Obviously, along the way, we will learn a great deal about the nature of the universe. And I think we should do it as soon as possible. The window of this opportunity is opened now for the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth. It may be open for a long time, or it may be open for a short time. And I think we should be hasty so that just in case it's only open for a short time. So that's what Starship's all about. A very profound vehicle. Nothing really like it is being developed, and I don't think anything quite like it has been even proposed.